What's going on, y'all? It's J Smo Reviews here, back at it again with another video, man, bringing you guys a predictions video. And before we get to that, the card, the league, all the top tier action that's on it, just want to say I hate these 5 or 6 day periods without posting. That's becoming kind of normalized here on the channel. Just can't always find the time for it, even if there's a topic. I'm living a normal life just like everyone else. Been a little bit more taxing recently, so I try to get back-to-back videos when I can, but here we are again, 5 or 6 days later, right? And in that time, few topics have went by, few battles have went by too. So before we hop into the card, just want to talk about some of the things I saw. I know this past weekend we had a few battles. Battle Academy had their event, and it wasn't a crazy event. I think Rum Nitty battled News, so there's a lot of like Battle Academy based talent. That was decent. Nitty won, but News wasn't bad. Top Floor Loot beat Clips. Clips didn't give a fuck, but Top Floor Loot was pretty decent. But the most important battle from that card was Sharon versus Bill Collector, their main event. I had Sharon 2-1, if not 3-0. You could debate that first for Bill Collector. Not even the craziest Sharon performance compared to what he's been doing for the last 2 years, which has been incredible. Still had the best round of the battle with the third. Still clearly won the battle, at least in the last 2 rounds. And just not like the worst Bill I've seen, but just he's been on a little bit of a downslope for the past couple of years. So a guy that's been absolutely on fire versus a guy who is very fire but has not been on fire for the last little bit of time. So Sharon picked up the W there. I saw Tex had his first battle, Texago, first battle since the whole Easy debacle, his footage getting taken down, leaving the trenches. He battled Ish Moolah, and he lost. Ish beat him. Another one that's 2-1, if not 3-0. You could give the third to Tex. He wasn't really direct to Ish. And there was a few things. It's a road game, so a lot of people showing Ish love. He wrapped double the amount of time the Tex did. So there's some things that led to that result. But at the same time, if you're going to do all this woofing, right, leave the trenches. Now it's this big thing. That next battle or two that you got, people are going to be all eyes on you. You got the buzz to see what you do in the aftermath. So for the first battle to be a loss to someone that you really should have beaten clearly, kind of a tough look for Tex. He still has the Ace Amin battle coming up, card in August. I'll be doing a prediction video for that. So stay tuned. We'll talk about Tex again a little bit more in depth. But a tough L right there. I didn't like that look for him. And the last thing was a YouTube drop. There was a YouTube drop, Av versus Vixen. I might have talked about it in a video in passing. Type of video that a year or two ago I'd have done a full bar for bar review on. Just been busy, but very, very, very good battle. And if you have not seen Av versus Vixen, fuck this video. Just go watch Av versus Vixen. Come back, watch the predictions for the next battles. But Av versus Vixen is dynamite. Vixen is always at her best versus the most dangerous men. You look at, and I'm not saying she's never lost. I had her losing to Tay-Rock, right? But Tay-Rock, New Jersey Twerk, Rum Nitty, now this Av battle. It's like those dangerous, explosive battlers. She's matching energy straight up. I will say, I did have Av winning the battle, and like I will say for a third battle in a row, it could be 2-1 or 3-0. And it's one of those, if someone edged Av every round of the battle, I couldn't be mad at it. Nothing to do with Vixen, who was incredible, but it just goes to show the level and form that Av has also been on for the last couple years, kind of like a battler like Sharon, but maybe even to a higher degree. His first round in that battle, so good. So if you get a chance, go check out Av versus Vixen. That's a few of the battles in the last week or so that I've caught up on. And with all that being said, now we could talk a little bit about Now or Never 3. As for Now or Never 3 from Street Talk Entertainment, which is a newer league, there's a Now or Never 3. There must have been 2 other ones. I didn't see them, you know what I mean? But I know this year in particular, they've been making a lot more noise. And for those that might not know the league, there was an event called Mean 3 earlier in the year. And it had battles like Twerk versus Real Deal, which is obviously key to this year with how good those two have been. But Twerk versus Real Deal, Geechee versus Steams. I think Loso versus Danger Zone was on there. And I remember when that card was coming up, us at LTBR were talking about if we were going to cover the card. I ended up just having a busy weekend. I didn't get to it. There's a million events nowadays, but that footage ended up really good. The effort the battlers gave ended up being really good, and now they come back here with this card. And this card is fantastic, this Now or Never 3 card. There's a lot of good matchmaking, in my opinion. A lot of top-tier action for the most part. Even a couple names that you don't see that often. And one of the biggest complaints I always hear from fans in battle rap is, the same battlers getting booked. We want different battlers. And this card definitely, is geared more towards someone that would make that type of complaint, right? They're going to have Geechee, Jazz, and Ike P on the commentary table. That'll be an interesting trio. Obviously, Geechee and Jazz got their podcast going on. We'll see how Ike adds that energy. But a lot of battles to talk about here, and for the most part, all recognizable names. So we got Big K versus Tink the Demon to start the card, which is one of those that's just interesting. You know, I don't remember the last Tink the Demon battle I saw. I know it's not like over a year ago. Maybe it was like a year ago on the dot, but it's been a minute since his name has been having buzz. I always thought Tink, he hasn't been good enough to compete at top tier level. Sometimes even other mid-tier battlers can get him out of here, but I always thought his style was unique, and that's something that you can't replace at the end of the day. Whether Tink has an extremely high ceiling, can be a star, he's someone that when you listen to, it's like its whole own little genre with the whole horrorcore type of view he has on battle rap, versus Big K, who has been taking battles like this really ever since the Twerk battle. And you never know the effect a battle or a result, a loss will have on a battler until you see what the schedule looks like after. We're talking about a guy that was the reigning champion of the year, coming off that amazing battle with Tay-Rock that headlined for King of the Dot. And then after that loss to Twerk, which was like such a mega match going into it, I just have seen him, you know, he had a Jay Murda battle, he battled Next, Appa. I just haven't really seen him battle another, like, worthwhile peer. I've seen him go back and forth with Bill Collector, Goods, guys like that, but he's been locking in with battles at this level for the most part. It's an opportunity for Tink. I got Big K winning this battle. I think it'll be 2-1 or 3-0. Tink is known to be unclean at times, too. It wouldn't shock me if he choked a round away or didn't have his best performance, and it's a clean win for K, but even with Tink being really good, I expect Big K to also be really good, and his ceiling is just a little bit higher. It's one of those battles, I'm not mad at it. I think it could be decent, even though I'm confident in the winner. It's not that I don't think Tink could do good, I just think it's a tall task for him, but Big K winning that battle clear to start. Then we have Jay Murda versus Un P. So Un P's outside couple times, right? He's got the Trenches card coming up versus Rosenberg Raw. He's got this battle here versus Jay Murda. I can't say I love this matchup. I'll be straight up honest with you. I'm not really seeing the vision here with this one. But to some people's surprise, I actually have Un P winning this battle 2-1 going into it. Jay Murda is more of an established battle rap pro, so if you want to bet on that and then he ends up winning, I'll look like a dumbass. It'll look like the correct call to make. But for the few times that Un's popped out in his career, I like the way Un P raps quite a bit. I think he attacks his opponent pretty well. I think 9 out of 10 times he is a better just pure rapper in the way that he flows and puts his words and syllables together. And he can match that same aggression that Jay Murda is going to have. Never been a huge fan of Jay Murda's style. I don't think he's bad. I just don't. Like he's just around. He's your basic kind of mid-tier, maybe even lower mid-tier battler at this point in his career. But I just like what Un brings to the table a little bit more. Bit of a shot in the dark since he's not as active. He's not as experienced of a battler. But, you know, that'll be kind of my upset pick right there. Then from there, we have Shotgun Suge versus Pain. And, you know, those first two matchups, Jay Murda and Un P, Big K and Tink the Demon, there can be varying opinions if you're not very high on the work that Tink or Jay Murda or not seeing Un P very much. Like, if you're not high on that, you won't care too much. From here on out, every matchup for the most part is good to me, and it starts with that Shotgun Suge versus Pain battle. They're just going to talk that shit, and I like it. The only worry that I have for this battle is Shotgun Suge, right? Because we know when he takes a plate where he's battling down, if he's battling on a non-major league, sometimes on a major league, if he's just giving a shot, there's a chance Shotgun Suge will just not give a fuck. And even though I think he's had a very good 2025, the Easy battle was a great start. His material dipped in the Heart battle, although he was still decent, and then it definitely dipped in the Swamp rematch. But I have him winning both of those battles, in large part to the uncleanness of his opponents. But I got Suge 3-0 to start the year, so if he wants to continue that momentum and finish with what can be a really, like, a great 2025, I'd like to see him show up at least somewhat, like an 80% for a Pain, right? Because this is one of those situations similar to, like, a Pain and Ill Will, where Ill Will was slacking, and if Pain, like, is really motivated and reaches his peak, he can definitely if not beat the shit out of a top tier who's not taking him serious. I think Pain's, I don't even think he's decent. I think he's a good battler. I just struggle. he's battled so many top-tier opponents, it feels like already. He'll do that on these smaller leagues. I don't feel like he's gotten the build-up where he did at RB at first, where fans are following him through those first 3 or 4 battles, like when he was a brick. And then when he gets top-tier plates, it means a little bit more. He took a couple losses, then I didn't see him as much, then it's a one-rounder here, or this on this small league. I think this is going to be the most eyes on a Pain battle in a minute, maybe since that Ill Will battle, and there is a good chance that he can win this. So I'm actually going to go with Pain 2-1 just because I'm that unconfident in, like, what Shotgun Suge will bring in terms of being serious for Pain. If Suge gives like kind of a full effort performance or really shows up for him, I think not only can he win this battle, this could be a good fight. I think that their styles will mesh together well, but I just have to bank on what I've seen from Suge in this particular situation and what I've seen from Pain when he does get opportunities of value. So I'm going Pain 2-1, but I think it could even be a debatable battle. Next up, we have Swave Seva versus Av, another matchup that I like, but one I feel in like Shotgun Suge and Pain, I feel very confident about who I'm calling to clearly win this battle. I think Swave's going to put up a fight, man, and usually when Swave battles top tiers, he puts up a fight. Even on that Mean 3 card I talked about earlier this year, he battled A-Ward on that card, and A-Ward won the battle, but Swave did his part to make that a good battle. You can go as far back as Swave versus New Jersey Twerk, Guardians of the Culture, for everyone that remembers that. That's a very good battle, and it's a very good Swave. He just gets a great version of Twerk. So not only does he respect these top tier opponents and taps into that little bit more of like that prime Swave that we saw some years back, but his opponents respect him enough to bring an A+ version of themselves for Swave. The thing is that a couple years ago, Av just decided, I don't really want to lose battles anymore. You know what I mean, man? The best couple people over the last few years have given Av even a debatable fight. Chef Trez, Tay-Rock, this year, Wusa for the most part, but it's usually 2-1 clear. I'd say like 70% of the time, if not 80%, and a lot of times it's even 3-0 clear or a gentleman's 30. Av is just one of the absolute best in the world, one of the top 5 pound-for-pound battle rappers in the world. His record speaks to it, his peak performances speak to it, so many different things. So Av is going to win this battle versus Swave, but I think it's going to be a good battle for both of them. You know what I mean? I just think it's going to be Av doing what he usually does. From there, we have TTop versus Fonz, which usually I'd be more excited for this because I think TTop is obviously a fantastic opponent. He's coming off that win versus Miss Hustle, one of his best performances of the last few years. Like him at his peak form being that entertainer on stage. And then Fonz is as good as ever. Fonz is also one of those battlers that consistently is making like top 10 champion of the year list, consistently beating top tiers. That's all he's done this year. Fonz has beat Arsenal. Fonz has beat Bill Collector. Fonz just possibly sat John Don down for a minute on a Gnome stage. So both of them have great momentum coming into this battle. Only thing is that I know they're super duper cool. At one point, I think, I don't want to say that they said they'd never battle each other, but I know that they're so cool outside of the ring that it hasn't really been brought up for certain matchmaking or something you've seen on other cards. So I just hope that both of them lock in for this one, because I could see a world where it could be like a TTop versus Twerk, where in theory that should be really good too, but once they battled, they were just too cool. It's kind of like neither of them really gave a fuck, and the product was terrible. I hope not to see that, but I know that Fonz, he's super cool with Miss Hustle, and when they battled, even though he choked in the third, you got a really locked in Fonz performance. So I'm going to go Fonz 2-1, just because they're, not just because of the T-Top and Twerk kind of part of it, but also between the two of them, T-Top is definitely the more likely to be a bit more inconsistent, even this year. He's got the great Hustle battle. He also lost to Kid Chaos and J2. Really had no business doing that, but if you look at the performance, he just didn't take it as serious. So I can just believe in Fonz to take it a little bit more serious, and truth be told, Fonz is also someone I'm not predicting against for the last year and a half or so. He's been dynamite, and that John win, in my opinion, was the biggest battle of his career, and look at what he did there. So I'm going Fonz 2-1, but if they both try, it could be like a dark horse contender for battle of the night. I love what both of them are doing. Ill Will versus Cortez, which is easily my second favorite battle on the card besides the main event, and that's saying a lot, because as you're hearing, there's quite a few battles here that I expect to be pretty good, but Ill Will and Core is one of those that you're kind of like shocked it hasn't happened yet, and two battlers that I can't really like put their styles in a category. These are just all around top tier battle rappers. And some would debate that's like the highest level where you can really tap into any bag. And I think that they're both in pretty good form right now. You look at Cortez, a little bit shakier, I'd say, with the results and the footage compared to Ill Will. He had the King battle this year, which was great. And then he had the Av battle, which he was cool. He lost the battle pretty clear, but he had some bright moments. Then you have Ill Will, the Sharon battle he lost, but Will was also fire versus Sharon. Not quite the same as like Cortez and Av. Will was great. Sharon was just greater. And then he battled Jay the Nightwing, which for me is the battle of the year. Many people have him winning the battle at that. I think it's much more debatable than some will tell you, but that goes to show like the bag Ill Will is in right now. So I like this battle. I'm going to have to just go with the higher talent cap, and I'm going Ill Will 2-1. And if Cortez won, it wouldn't be shocking to me. He's beat people of this level many times before, whether people want to admit it or not. But if I expect both of them to be good, I'm going to go with, well, if they're both locked in, who do I think is better when they're fully locked in? And I just think Ill Will can rock a room a little bit more. He can be a little bit more funny than Cortez. And even when it comes to those like peak haymakers, those quotables and bars you remember from the battle, Will can produce a little bit more of that than Cortez. So I'm going Will 2-1, but like I said, one of my favorite battles of the night. Then you have a couple battles here that I don't care about very much, just to put it quite frankly. Arsenal versus Real Deal. Real Deal is going to clearly beat Arsenal, or at least I think he should clearly beat Arsenal. Every once in a while, Arsenal does pop out with a performance where he reminds you why he is the popular name he is in battle rap, but 80% of the time, Arsenal is out here not giving a fuck. It is raps for the sake of rhyming. It is almost never direct to the opponent. I'm sure he'll have some real and some deal flips. I'm positive he's going to have a ton of different teacher bars, but there's a lot of outdated material in there, and often there's even a lot of stumbling and choking too. So I know that there's been kind of discussion about like disrespect on Arsenal's name, and some people, like any battler, they'll take it over the top or a little too far and make it personal. But just speaking in the ring, like if you've been watching all of Arsenal's battles, big battles, small battles, like whether he's giving shots or battling the ladies like Casey and Hustle, he's choking in those battles. Whether, like I said, he's giving shots versus some of the new guys, he's not really clean in those battles. He could get the Murder Book battle after 10 years of chasing and choking that battle. You just really never know, and Real Deal is one of the 3, at the very least, best battlers of 2025 so far. He's been lighting shit up. So I have Real Deal winning extremely clear, whether it's 2-1 or 3-0, we'll see. Charlie Clips versus Loso, I also have Loso winning that extremely clear. Not even going to waste my breath on what Clips battles have been lately. It's Loso's luck to maybe get like a fully trying Clips out of nowhere, and next thing you know, he like spins out this Loso momentum because he randomly decided to give a fuck that day. But Loso's been really good, battling back to back. He did that last year too, but he was choking a lot more. Couple losses still this year. It's not a perfect year for Loso, but he's giving you much more good than bad. So I got Loso clearing Clips. Clips can kill footage sometimes too. We'll see what the quality of that battle is. And then T-Rex versus Steams. So many names, bro. So many top tier names in this card. T-Rex versus Steams. I have T-Rex winning. I'm not really sure how this one will go. I know Steam's been getting hype. When we did our LTBR list, people were like, where's Steams? Where's Steams? Listen, Steams is battle names. A-Ward, Geechee Gotti's got Rex coming up here. He battled Saga. I believe it was on Gates of the Garden. So he's had a couple Danger Zone as well, who I think he might have... Was that on Mean 3? I don't know, but he battled Danger Zone this year. Steams is actually good in all these battles. Steams is not winning any of these battles. I don't know why these battlers are trying so hard versus Steams. You'd think it might be one of those plates where they maybe take it a little less serious, and he shows you can't slack versus me, but kind of like a Snake Eyes or a What Bad News Used to Be. It's like one of those battlers that top tier battlers just really don't want to lose to. Like Geechee's giving Steams full effort. A-Ward, Rum Nitty, Danger, and Saga both like snap versus Steams. So Steams, you've been rapping good. Unfortunately, everyone you rap against is just rapping a little bit better. So maybe this battle will play out like that. I'm going to go Rex 2-1, but, you know, there is a chance maybe that Rex is finally the one that kind of gives that, like, 60 to 70% type of performance, and then Steams takes it as serious as possible. But I'll go Rex. I just think he has a better peak. And in the last couple years, although it hasn't been fully consistent, he had the health thing too on Gnome. I just prefer Rex, you know what I'm saying, when he's given his effort, and I'm hoping that he does for this battle. So that's really stacked undercard. A lot of battles. One would argue maybe one too many battles battles. Just my opinion. But that leaves you with the main event of Hollow Dodon versus Chef Trez. Been asking for this battle for a minute, and I think there's no more of a deserving battler to get like a legend look they've been working up to than Chef Trez. He's probably the most consistent battle rapper in the world right now. And there's people that bring up, strength of schedule is such an argument for awards, right? We just heard all about it when we made our LTBR top 20 list. And people judging on different things. I'm big on like the level of the opponent that you're battling and how they've looked for the last couple of years. So not just a top tier that's giving you top tier work. Like the difficulty of who you're battling is the biggest part in my opinion. But battlers will tell you the time between battles has to be factored in. Like so many other things, how many battles that you had and rounds, like all these other variables that aren't really based on the opponent, but based on the circumstances. And Chef Trez is fire while having both of those things. It doesn't matter. He's doubled the top half of his resume with who he's battled the last couple years. Twerk, Swamp, Av, Tay-Rock, which was a 3-0, right? He's been doing all this, but he's still giving shots in between, still having some battle of the years. He's like battling like 20 times a year, all levels of tiers, not slowing down. Chef Trez has been having one of those runs that no matter what you look for in battle rap, you can enjoy what he's doing. So for him to get Hollow Dodon, where I don't know if this is going to be considered like an endgame plate for Trez, but I don't think he'd ever battle like a Lux or a Mook, right? Like that doesn't seem like a sensible thing that would happen. So if there is that like big legendary name that Trez is going to get to, it's Hollow. And I also think this probably happened because Hollow's simply been outside more often than, the last 2 or 3 years. You're seeing Hollow sometimes like 4 or 5 times a year. That was unheard of. Hollow used to be like a Lux, like a Mook, pop out once, maybe twice a year for the right plate when someone calls him out and kind of earns that shot. But Chef Trez is one of those people, even though Hollow's a little more generous with who he's battling, Chef Trez absolutely has earned this. I'm hoping their style should match up pretty well. That freestyle ability, unorthodoxness, right? So we're going to be expecting some rebuttals, but then the material itself, Hollow just is not wrapped anywhere near as good as Chef Trez the last couple of years. I know we could go on and on about how it's been a little bit of a downtime for Hollow, but even if he was as good as he was in, let's say, the A-Ward battle, I think Chef Trez has more than enough to beat that type of performance. So I'm going Chef Trez. I'm going to go 2-1 because I think Hollow has enough respect to give him that type of round that he gave Jazz in the first or gave A-Ward in the first round and make a round at least debatable. But it speaks more to the respect I have for Chef Trez, where I just think he's going to give a performance like he did versus a Twerk, like he did versus a Rock, where he could have lost just as easily. They're even more dangerous, and he's winning in like the case of a Tay-Rock clear. So I have Chef Trez clearly winning this battle, but I'm excited for him, and I think it is a perfect main event here for the top of the card. But that is my full predictions for Street Talk Entertainment's Now or Never 3 card going down in Brooklyn, New York. So if you're in the area, pull up to this one. So much top tier talent, so much pretty good matchmaking. Something on here is going to be worth the purchase if you go in the building. Now that I'm actually looking at the flyer, I don't know if it's pay-per-view. I'd figure it would be. I believe Mean 3 was a pay-per-view. Maybe it was a VOD. I don't 100% remember right now, but one way or another, when I can watch these battles, I'm going to watch these battles. I'm hoping that they're live, but that's my full predictions on it, man. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions in the comment section down below. I know I was kind of yapping my ass off this video, but there's just a shit ton of battles on these cards. So, let me know, what do you think is going to be the battle of the night? Do you think anyone's going to have some key wins that could change their year? Any comments, agree, disagree, let me know down below, man. But it's been J Smo Reviews again here, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna catch you on the next one, man. Peace.